look, Sky, some things are just not good. And this is whack. This area covered graphic is whack. It looks like something from BBC CFAX. Dated. So I'm still trying to work it out. Macklin explained some of it. RIAKHPORE represents the red part of the ring that's been covered, and his opponent represents the blue. So according to Macklin, it means that the opponent had more of the ring center while RIAKHPORE was circling the perimeter. If they're going to do this, the graphic needs to be better and it needs to connect to the flow of the fight more. That's all I can say. Will we see it again? I'm not sure. Anyway, Richard RIAKHPORE scored a knockdown in the 8th in a relatively one-sided fight, as expected. Got hit maybe a little too much for Angel Fernandez's liking. Here's his new trainer. Got his nose busted up pretty bad. I don't know if it's stamina issues, but he seems to lose his technique the longer the bout goes on. I thought it was stamina initially, and it is to a degree, but he seems to lose focus on his technique, and he's forced to hold and clinch and wrestle and get into mauls. But he scored a knockdown in the 8th, and he won well. He's taken on Olenrawawu Duradola, a big puncher, probably a little past his best, but this is potentially a good test for Richard. That's going to be on his next fight in November, which is headlined by Hosea Burton and Dan Aziz. That's a decent fight for the British light heavyweight title. I'm looking forward to that one. I saw MIKAIL LAWAL 13-0 going into this fight against Benoit Huber, if that's how you pronounce that, a boxer from Switzerland. LAWAL, he won in the 3rd round, landed a big right hand, and the referee waved it off automatically. Now, LAWAL was in charge of the bout. It wasn't terribly one-sided. The Swiss boxer was holding his own, but LAWAL had too much firepower for him. I think it was Macklin commentating, and I agreed. The referee jumped in way too early. You land one big shot, the guy doesn't go down, he doesn't wobble all around the ring, he's willing to fight on, and the referee waved it off. It's sure a different sport than the one I used to watch back in the day. I guess that would be my gripe. They didn't stop fights as early as that. This was called off way too early. Way too early. LAWAL said he stepped back because he didn't want to do no more damage, and that the referee was right to wave the fight off. And when he was feeling a vibe that some people thought they were shortchanged, he said, maybe I should have gone in and finished it. Maybe you should, rather than we get these premature stoppages. But he goes to 14-0 now. Are Sky ready to give us LAWAL versus RIAKHPORE? Because Richard RIAKHPORE is not ready for Lawrence Okolie, no matter how much he calls him out and talks about his power as a threat to Okolie. He's not ready for Okolie. And neither is LAWAL. I got a feeling before we see LAWAL, RIAKHPORE, they're going to build them up, so to speak. And then we had the headline act as the Eubank fight was called off. We had David Avanesian versus Liam Taylor. Taylor was down in the 1st round, and Avanesian's pressure tactics, I think it was a left hook, finished it in the 2nd. One-sided fight for the European title that Avanesian holds. Liam just didn't have the firepower. He did landed some good punches, but he was just outgunned. Now, let's not get it messed up. When Avanesian goes in against the top welterweights with his aggressive style, he will need to move his head more. He won't be able to just walk in so square on. But what a lot of people don't understand about head movement is that it's not easy to move your head and then transition into offense. It's really not that easy. Like, you're moving your head. How are you able to keep your concentration and think if you're moving your head constantly? You got to know what you're doing. This has got to be a mastered skill. Often in a fight like this, someone like Avanesian is just going to walk his man down behind a high guard, block what he's got to block, get his harder punches off and bull his man onto the ropes and land big shots and look for the stoppage. And that's what he did. There was no peekaboo head movement or anything like that. Just high guard, walk him down, stay in punching range, whack him to the body, whack him to the head, and get him out of there. AVANESYAN is talking about fighting UGAS for the WBC belt. You never know what could happen in that fight. UGAS would have to be the favorite. He's the better boxer. He's way tougher than Josh Kelly or Liam Taylor. UGAS would be a big favorite after, in my opinion, dominating Manny Pacquiao. But it's a good fight all the same. Rematches mostly favor the technician. I remember Dwyer years back saying something similar and giving examples. Now, I disagree with Dwyer on a lot of things, but if you say something and it makes total sense, then it is what it is. And it did make sense. So I spoke about this last week. And in all truth, Tyson Fury is the technician and Wilder is billed as the puncher. The technician has already beat Wilder going backwards on the retreat. I apologize. Already drew with Wilder and controversially drew. A lot of people think Fury won, and the technician has beat Wilder, the puncher, on the front foot, knocked him out. Added to that, the technician is a bigger man. This is a hard fight to win for Wilder. They have to be perfect for 12 rounds. I only have to be perfect once. I want to catch a body. Then you have his fan base who he has a connection with. He represents us as African Americans on the earth. This is why we love him. This is why he's great. You can't take that to the blackboard to break down a fight, as honourable intentioned as it may be. See, the thing is, I live in the same part of London that Anthony Joshua lives in. It's just up the road. And I like what he represents for this country, all races, and for black people, for black youth as an inspiration of positivity. But I can't use that to say he's going to beat Usyk in a rematch or become a top 5 dead or alive. I can't use that. Or then, it's not even boxing anymore now. I can't use that. Tyson Fury swerved a lot of fights. David Price, Kubrat Pulev. He swerved them because he wanted to improve. He was aided by Peter Fury. They worked on a lot of stuff in the gym. You can watch the Kingpin Johnson fight and see the improvements. You can watch the rematch with Chisora and you can see vast improvements. He was doing this in 2013, 2014, 2015, years before Deontay Wilder won a world title belt. Because the guy who uppercutted himself in the face and was dropped by Steve Cunningham, who wasn't a big puncher as a cruiser, the guy who got dropped by Nevin Pikic, I believe his name was, the guy who controversially beat John McDermott in a fight I believe Tyson Fury lost, was never going to cut it at world title level. They couldn't just be ignorant and say, well, just because we got the W's in all them fights, everything is all good, we're just going to carry on. No, they had to slow the train down. In my opinion, Brunin just became the whipping boy, the scapegoat for Wilder's loss. So you're telling me now Wilder knows it's important to go running and is deciding he needs to listen to his coach and this is going to be enough to overturn the result of the second fight? I'm not convinced. Now, the second fight was 1 year and 8 months ago. I've seen a lot of people from America who are saying Wilder is going to win. Has the long gap between February last year and October this year obscured their memory of that fight? Or do they just believe that Fury, maybe because of his physique, the way he looks, or because he's English, can't really beat Wilder and they're still in denial? Perhaps they believe the costume, glove gate, Breland spike in the water, the referee conspired against him, and all the other excuses are legit, that there was a reason Wilder looked the way he looked, apart from Fury just being better than Wilder. People like Zab Judah, who knows boxing, and a lot of other people in there saying Wilder is going to win. They're not saying, I hope Wilder's going to win, which I'd say, okay, that's fair enough. They're saying Wilder's going to win like they've studied the fight and they broke it down. That's what they're talking like. There's some people who believe if we keep saying Wilder's going to win, it's going to become a reality, a self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, you did that in the first 2 fights. Maybe it's my bias. I'm not going to deny that, but I can see certain things AJ could do to be more effective against Usyk. I can see it because he did win some rounds and he done some damage to Usyk's face, and he has the physical advantages. I don't see anything from the second fight that Wilder can do to make the outcome any different. I just don't see it. I've looked at it twice again recently. I don't see anything. Except if I was a fan of his, I hope he can win. That's the only thing I can draw from watching the second fight. Now, are there things he can do to improve his performance? Yes. Preparation has to be different. He has to make some minor adjustments. But I'm not gauging that from watching his performance in the second fight. I'm not gauging it from that. I'm gauging it from this is his job. So the amount of money he's spending on the training camp, I should see some improvements. Same with AJ Usyk too. I should see some improvements. But will I? There's a few things. Tyson Fury's feints wreak havoc on his already bad balance, whether Fury's going back or forwards. Once you can't find your balance in a boxing ring, you've as good as lost. With Fury going forward and using the jab, and Wilder going backwards, he can't get no momentum into his power shots. He can't get his right hand over Fury's jab effectively enough. By the time it gets near the target, most of the sting has gone out of the punch. Fury looks like he's got Wilder figured out, but we'll see. Now, what I do like about Team Wilder is they're prepared to change things up rather than trying the same thing and the same result, losing. Because I do believe, where others don't believe, that the body shots could play a part. But to me, it won't just be the body shots. I think he needs to develop an uppercut and come underneath Tyson Fury than trying to go over the top. Body shots, uppercuts. But when I say body shots, he can't be in there like what I saw, trying to roll and weave like he's Joe Frazier. I don't think that works. I think he needs to steal some hard shots to the body and get out. But the uppercut is definitely a great punch, rather than trying the right hand over the top and the 1-2 all the time. So the training footage is suggesting they're going to go to Fury's body. Well, in the second fight, they tried to go to Fury's body with the jab. Well, that didn't work because, let's stay with the heavyweight division. I see AJ jab to the body. Not so much against Usyk, obviously, but against Ruiz and Povetkin. But he's timing them as they're advancing. Wilder is reaching at Fury's body. It's a wasted punch. And it wasn't successful. So the execution of whatever they're doing has to be on point. Or I tell you what, we'll see how friendly Wilder and his fan base are with Malik Scott if it's a total disaster in there. He might be the next Breland, scapegoated. So my feelings are, Wilder needs an ill-prepared Tyson Fury, a demotivated Tyson Fury, perhaps a Tyson Fury carrying an injury, an overconfident Tyson Fury, but a Tyson Fury on his game beats him. I picked Wilder for the first fight. I couldn't believe how Fury was outboxing him for long periods of the fight. I really couldn't believe it. I was shocked. Not because Wilder is terrible, but Fury was just a better boxer, wasn't he? The 2018 version of Fury who drew with Wilder is nowhere near the fitness level or the sharpness of the 2015 version of Fury who beat Vladimir Klitschko. Facts. I don't believe Malik Scott is going to make any difference to how Wilder fares in terms of competing with Fury for skills. The dynamic is still the same. Wilder needs a knockout punch to win, and he has enough power that he could perhaps do that. He does. But nothing's going to change. He's going to be down on the cards and he's going to need a big punch to win. That's the way I see it. Fury more than likely will stop him early, middle rounds, late, or outpoint him.
I've got to say this to you, Dave. You look fantastic. You look great. You sound great. Where are you? What state are you? Where are you in your life right now, Dave?
Well, I haven't officially announced that I've retired, but I have. I'm not going to be fighting again. You won't see me in a boxing ring again for a fight, at least. So that was only officially made up in my mind about 6 weeks ago, because I knew I'd get offered a fight in Liverpool on the Smith-Fowler show. Yeah. And I did get offered it, but I made sure I was in the gym for when the call came. And when it came, there was no desire to fight. I didn't even want to know who. I was like, do you know what? I don't want to fight on that, and I don't want to fight again. So the hunger's no longer there, and that's massive. Which is why your elite fighters like Tyson, like your Canelos, your AJs, they've got as much money as they'll ever need, but that hunger's still there. You look at Pete.
David Pricey retired from boxing, and I know the Scousers don't like me doing accents. A lot of people don't like me doing a lot of things on the channel, but, you know, I like David Price. Some people will say he was a failure in the ring. Well, in terms of bringing a sanctioning belt back to Liverpool, back to the United Kingdom, okay, he didn't get there. But he is an Olympic bronze medalist. Not many people do that. And a former British heavyweight champion, Commonwealth heavyweight champion. Not many people do that. His gas tank and his chin and his self-confidence let him down at vital points in his career. Still, nevertheless, a big puncher, 20 knockouts and 25 wins. And until he announced his retirement on the John Fury bus the other day, people wanted to see him fight. They liked David Price. Had many entertaining fights. I mean, even the last fight, which was a TKO loss to Derek Chisora, was entertaining. The Povetkin fight was entertaining. The Christian Hammer fight was pure gold. Tony Thompson. Up until the Tony Thompson fight, the David Price fan base, and you know what I don't like about these things I'm talking about here? I was a fan. I was just not a fan like his sycophantic fan base. I was a fan. And then in the end, you're like, well, he's not as good as what you're saying. He is good, but, oh, you're just hating. I remember once, after the Matt Skelton fight, I observed it looks like there's weaknesses on the inside if you can get inside. I think I even said a Tyson type of style or Mike Tyson, against that style they will do a lot of damage. His fan base went crazy. They were saying shit like, you don't know nothing about boxing. You believe Tyson could beat David Price. They had him nailed on. It was a dead cert. I'm not going to swear on anything, but trust me, I am not lying. That's what they said. This plum, this racist, hating on Price, thinks that Mike Tyson could beat David Price. This is what they said and teamed up on me. But big up Pricey. I picked him to beat Dave Allen. I don't know if he was the favorite or the underdog. And, you know, he done a good job. I think that's his best career victory. And is it Celebs Age Wiki? You can't really tell how accurate the information is, but they're saying he's worth between $1 million to $5 million. If he's nearer the $5 million, that ain't a failure. And if he has over $1 million, that's not a failure, in my opinion. Saturday evening into Sunday morning is good boxing. Got the domestic card on DAZN. All right, let's work our way up. Natasha Jonas, good fighter. Looking forward to seeing her. I'm not going to start talking up a bunch of fighters I don't know. No disrespect to them, but what sense would it make right now? Solomon Daklis, if that's how you pronounce it. He's 2-0 currently, heavyweight, against Kamil Sokolowski, journeyman. But this is an interesting fight. We saw David Adilier struggle with Kamil. Kamil is a very good journeyman. This is a good fight. Luke Willis versus Ryan Charlton is a good little fight. Shannon Courtenay defends her WBA bantamweight title against Jamie Mitchell. Kieran Conway versus James Metcalf. Very good domestic clash. This is the super welterweight phase of the card. Ted Cheeseman versus Troy Williamson for the British title. Another super welterweight clash. Excellent fight. Troy, he's a Queensbury BT fighter, but Frank is taking the gamble to topple Ted Cheeseman and get the bragging rights on Eddie Hearn. He'll love if Troy wins this one. This is a very good fight for the British 154-pound title. And the main event is another 154-pound fight. One thing is, domestically, we have some very competitive fights at 154. And Liam Smith versus Anthony Fowler is up there. Echo Arena. Who wins this one? Tough one to pick. Smith, 29-3-1 against Anthony Fowler, 15-1-0. Smith has way more experience. Former world champion. He's beat the likes... He's fought the likes of Canelo, Jaime Munguia, Liam Williams twice. Was unlucky, in my opinion, to lose in Russia last time out against Kabanov, who was 21-0. So the experience gap is wide. It is wide. He's now trained by Joe McNally, no longer with Joe Gallagher up there in Manchester. And I think a lot of people have got him favourite to beat Fowler. But Liam's had a lot of wars, and that experience is invaluable. But at the same time, the experience at some stage for all fighters, if they fight for long enough, will turn into wear and tear. It's a thin line. And he's had a hard career. Fowler has had one real tough fight against Fitzy. Our boy Fitzy. Big up Fitzy. But he's a big junior middleweight. And looking at that picture of him today, he's in some serious shape. He trains really hard, apparently. Him and his CBD oil. Trains very hard. He's in serious shape. And Shane McGuigan is trying to develop that jab and that movement. And having, I would assume, the longer reach and the leverage and the height on Liam Smith, I believe this is a tough fight for Liam. I believe an upset is on the cards, and that's the way I'm picking. Could be a controversial one, but I'm going for Anthony Fowler. Minor upset over Liam Smith. Now, I don't want to make the breakdown too complicated, but I think Liam is the better fighter. But timing is everything, and this could just be Fowler's night, is my belief. Looking forward to it. Excellent card. Then we go to the big heavyweight clash. T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas. Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder go at it for the third time. One draw so far. One win for Fury is the state of play. WBC title is on the line. Already broke it down. I think Fury will win. But the undercard is really good stuff. It's really good stuff. Jared Anderson, 9-0 against Vladimir Tereshkin, 22-0-1. Never seen Vladimir, but some people say he can fight a bit. It should be good. Should be good. Julian Williams, he's got what looks like an opponent to help him ease back into things, because he hasn't fought since January last year, where he lost his straps to Jason Rosario. Edgar Berlanga, 17-0 against Marcelo Esteban Coceres. He gave Billy Joe Saunders quite a tough fight. Berlanga is expected to win, though. You got Robeisy Ramirez, amateur standout, shock loss on his debut. He's taking on someone who is 17-0, Orlando Gonzalez Ruiz. Ramirez edged out Shakur Stevenson in the 2016 Olympics. I don't know nothing about Gonzalez. He's 17-0. Is he good? Who's the favorite? Looks like a good matchup. Efe Ajagba against Frank Sanchez. What do I think of that one? What do I think of that one? This is PBC versus Top Rank. Ajagba, formerly PBC, is now Top Rank. Frank Sanchez is PBC. I think a lot of people think Ajagba, 15-0, is going to get it done. He has 12 wins inside the distance. But I think the 18-0, 13 stoppages, Cuban, who they're saying is 29, a lot of people don't believe that, he could pull off an upset here. And that's where I'm going. With Frank Sanchez to be a little too cute, perhaps. A little too defensively sound. And I would think points win for Sanchez. That's what I'm going for. Then we have the rematch, Helenius versus Adam Kownacki. We know Helenius upset the odds last year. Big stoppage over Kownacki. Can Kownacki avenge the only defeat of his career? He's supposed to be in pretty good shape. It's a pick'em one, this one. I don't want to go out on a limb on that one. And obviously the main event, Fury versus Wilder. Very good card. Very good day of boxing. Very good day. No complaints. Bob Arum went really low first. I can't remember what the initial layout he wanted to pay for the fight. Tio wasn't happy with that. Bob said, okay, well, we can go to the purse bid if you're not happy with it. And then Triller bid 6. Bob bid 2 point whatever, and Eddie bid, 3.5. Well, it looks like Triller had taken a knee. Because in June, your kid contracted COVID, tried to reschedule it, wanted to put it in Australia. T.O. didn't want no part of that. The October the 4th date was pushed back to October the 16th. That was met with resistance by Kambosos. Triller are now saying they have lost millions in trying to promote this fight. Talking about there was a 37 grand plane flight for Kambosos. What was they doing? Buying the airplane or something? But 37 grand ain't 8-9 million. What they're claiming they lost. But that's what they're saying they've lost. It's very vague what they said they spent the 8-9 million on. But they're taking a knee now. They don't want it no more. they don't want to promote this fight. They will no longer seek to have this fight on its upcoming show. As you are undoubtedly aware, the deadline set forward in our September the 30th dated letter has now passed. And as such, all applicable rules and regulations we demand. Kambosos needs to be immediately stripped of his IBF number 2 ranking and an immediate refund of our purse bid deposit. The IBF is to set a new purse bid and date with the second highest bid to host a fight, and that would be MATCHROOM and DAZN. TRILLER would now have the option but not the obligation to decide if we want to bid on the fight or not. So it went from Miami, June the 19th, scheduled for October the 5th at the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden. TRILLER then moved the fight to October the 4th to avoid a New York Yankees home playoff game. Then they pushed it to October the 16th to avoid some versus rap battle. T.O. signed a contract amendment that allowed the move to October the 16th, but Kambosos didn't. I think I'm correct now. It's getting very convoluted, isn't it? Madison Square Garden get to keep the $150,000 that TRILLER paid to secure the venue. They keep that. And TRILLER claimed they had a deal in place with the Barclays Center. I don't know what's going on with that. Kambosos declined the amendment to fight on October the 16th unless he got his purse in an escrow account to guarantee payment. I don't blame him. Let me just say that from the jump. I don't blame him. Now, TRILLER still are going to go ahead with the planned undercard for Lopez Kambosos with the addition of Cletus Selden. And they're going to host a versus rap battle. Who's in this versus? It's not Kane and KRS-One. That'd be excellent. If they're hosting that, that'd be good. That'd be good. There's been a lot of noise that they're going to have a versus battle. Old school in the house, bro. Old school in the house. Bronx versus Brooklyn.
Come get some, dealing a bum. I take the cake, but you can't get a crumb from. I'm the original teacher of this type of style, rocking off beat with a smile.
Something tells me that even if Lopez didn't contract COVID, they were going to mess this up. So anyway, if the IBF declares TRILLER in default, as Kambosos' attorney Greg Smith is seeking, citing various alleged contract breaches, the deposit money would be split between Lopez and Kambosos on the same 65-35 split, and the promotional rights to the fight would fall to Matchroom Boxing with their $3.5 million bid. Now, Top Rank Teofimo Lopez's promoter has purposely held back one of its full ESPN dates to accommodate the fight in case the fight falls in their lap. December the 3rd or December the 4th is a date that Aram is trying to reserve. Now, they're talking about that could be complicated because Lopez's wife is due in labor with their first child about a week before that. Oh man, this fight, like, whoa. Why don't the IBF come out and say something? Now, Kambosos' attorney is saying his client has been milked, potentially extorted, lied to, and now we believe stuck in the middle of what is nothing more than a political sham involving the IBF, Top Rank, PBC, and David McWhorter, and others. I don't know what PBC have to do with it. They didn't make a bid, and they have nothing to do with Lopez or Kambosos. Now, TRILLER gave T.O. a $100,000 deposit to secure the October the 16th date. And in the process, they tried to procure Kambosos' amendment agreement. And that's where it started to get a little messy. TRILLER claimed they're out $15 million. That's what they're saying here. Kambosos wanted an additional $400,000 compensation to move the dates. I don't want to use words like jinxed, but the fight just seems jinxed, doesn't it? It really does. I mean, T.O. has lost so much momentum from that Lomachenko win. So much. T.O., he wants to fight Josh Taylor in a catchweight bout. Well, why would Josh Taylor collect all 4 belts to fight you in a catchweight? You either come up to 10 stone or forget calling him out. He's not going to drop down to 9 stone 6, is he? No. You want to catchweight with Taylor, doesn't want to fight Devin Haney and clean up the whole lightweight mess. He's not afraid to fight Devin. He can't make the weight. That's what it is. He's going to have the one Kambosos fight. He can probably beat Kambosos even if he's tight at the weight, but Devin is too much of a gamble. He wants to have a catch weight where they both put their belts on the line. Well, what's Taylor really going to do with T.O.'s belts? He's not going to defend them lightweight belts, and no one's going to really see it as a legitimate lightweight fight, are they? Either move up to 140, or go on about your business, as far as I'm concerned.